Greetings. I'd like to welcome you to the Ohio Mental Health First Aid Project. My name is Bridget Swihart, and I am the Instructor Support Specialist on this project, in addition to being a contracted instructor as well. So before you get started on your next steps, certainly do appreciate your interest in joining this project. I just want to go over with you the contract for the project. It's pretty straightforward, one page, but I do want to go over it with you so that you understand what you're getting yourself into and what you are committing to. Again, it's pretty painless, but I do want to go over that with you, give you the opportunity to see this before you sign up for the class. And this is we refer to this as the Instructor Memorandum of Agreement. You should have received the link for this from the coordinator when you agreed to sign up for this. So, but I do want to just kind of walk through it. Note that in the link that the coordinator sent you, all of the forms that I'm referencing here are linked directly here. So you can just click on the blue and you will be able to be routed to the resources that we're referencing in this. But essentially, the contract reads that you as the contractor are agreeing to work with Mental Health America of Northern Kentucky and Southwest Ohio, sometimes referred to as MHANKY-SWO. You might hear that term. And that is for this project that is effective through March 15th of 2023. And that is, we work together to deliver mental health first aid. And of course, the goals are to spread the awareness of mental health first aid, what that is, help learners to grow in their knowledge of signs and symptoms and risk for people with mental health or substance use disorders, identify types of professional and self-help resources, as well as share those. We want to increase the learner's confidence in and likelihood to help people in need. We want to show increased mental wellness themselves, help the learners to improve their own mental wellness, as well as be a part of reducing stigma for those living with mental health and substance use disorders. What you as the contractor under this contract, you are referred to as the contractor. What you are agreeing to if you sign this is that you will deliver National Council's mental health first aid program with fidelity as it is listed and as you are directed to do so, following their guidelines, using only their materials as they have lined out, including their slide deck, etc. And again, following with their fidelity guidelines, which you'll learn about in the training that you take. We're also asking, one of the agreements that you would do as a contractor is to work closely with one of our coordinators. There's 3 coordinators under this project, and they will be assigning classes to you. They'll be reaching out and saying, hey, are you available for this class? If so, if that works for your schedule, great. Once you agree to work with them, then we do ask for timely and appropriate follow-up with communication. And our goal really is that you will respond within 24 hours to emails from the coordinators. There are so many things going on behind the scenes to help make these classes, to execute these classes. So timely responses really do make a difference. So that is something that we're asking of you as the contractor if you agree to join this project. We also ask that you work closely with the attendees and host supervisor to provide a good customer experience. Again, same thing as with the coordinators. We're asking for their needs to be responded to in a timely and appropriate fashion. Again, the goal is that within 24 hours of an email, that you are responding. You really do become the face of this project. Once you accept the course from the coordinator, you really are that liaison between the host and the program. So again, and our program. So we want to make sure that you understand your role with that. Number 4, again, this is for those of you that are going to be receiving the training through us. If we are paying for the training for National Council for you to get your certification as an instructor, what we're asking then is that you will teach your first 3 classes at no cost. We will assign those classes to you. We'll find those classes and work within your schedule to make it work. But there will be no reimbursement for those first 3 classes. And again, that kind of offsets the cost of the training fee. So just so you're aware of that. Number 5, one of the agreements that you would be agreeing to as the contractor would be to attend the required meetings and training, such as the quarterly instructor gatherings. Those are held again, quarterly. We do understand that there are times that it may have a conflict with your work schedule though as well. So we do understand that and acknowledge that, and just ask that you do view the recording then of the quarterly meetings and any other meetings that might come up. We do make those readily available for all contractors to view. Number 6, we do utilize a platform called Connect Team, and that is where you will bid and accept shifts. You will also receive general communication through this app. We're going to talk about that when after you've received your training. We will set up a time to meet. You'll actually reach out to me and we'll set up a time to meet, and I'll walk through this Connect Team app with you and that process for bidding and accepting shifts. But in the meantime, if you'd like to go ahead and download it, feel free. The link is here. You can take a look at it and peruse it. Number 7, we provide what's called a Trello board. And for those of you that have used that before, hopefully you have found it to be helpful. We do utilize it as a way to store and share resources. This is the invitation link again to join that. And that's something else that we will be following through, going over when we meet after you've received your certification. But there's a lot of great information on there, such as resource lists that we ask you to share with the participants, as well as template emails and many other helpful resources for you, timing guides, etc. So number 8, we're asking that you do submit your invoice by the 5th of the next month. So every time you do a class, you're going to submit it by the 5th of the next month to our administrative coordinator. And again, his email is connected to this blue link. And note that invoices for classes held more than 45 days prior to invoicing may not be paid. So again, we do want to make sure that those invoices are submitted to the administrative coordinator in a timely manner. Number 9, this is important, particularly if you are the lead instructor. You have the opportunity to request up to $100 for reimbursement if the class is canceled at the last minute. So you've put in all this work, you've created the class, you've invited all the users, you've been sending out emails. If the class gets canceled, you do have an opportunity to receive at least up to $100 for the work, depending on where you're at in that workflow. And there's the link for that. There's the link that will get you to that form to request that information. The other important key component here to be aware of is that you will, as the contractor, follow the process when referring organizations. So if you have a group of folks that want to take the course, and that group would be 30 people, that's what we're looking for, you would be submitting what's called a host referral process form. And then you'll give us some information, background information about the audience, when exactly they'd like to take it, just some general ideas. And then the coordinators will coordinate with you and with that host organization to decide, the next steps. And that's the form. This is the form where you would complete that. Also, you have the opportunity to just invite people less than 30 to take the class. That would be in what would be referred to as one of our open classes. And that would actually send them to our website as well, where they can just sign up and register. So again, 10 and 11 really talk about just opportunities that you will have as the instructor. We're not requiring these things, but we're asking that if you are referring individuals, which we do encourage that, that's been very successful for us, and it's a way to meet our goals for the project, which is to train 6,000 Ohioans by March of 23. So what then do we agree to do? What's on our end of the contract? Again, this Mental Health America of Northern Kentucky and Southwest Ohio, what we agreed to do is to assign a coordinator who is going to do the marketing. They've sought the funding. We've got the funding secured for that. They're going to do the marketing. They are going to make shifts available for the instructors to bid on and to be assigned then. They do provide their rosters for each class, and they are the primary contact to request for requests and questions regarding the actual training itself. Number 2, what else? The additional item that we are going to provide to you is the role of the instructor support specialist, which is myself. And I'm here to offer technical assistance, any kind of participant issues you might run into, any curriculum issues you might run into, workflow issues, all those how-tos. If you have any questions about how-tos, I'm happy to help. That's what I do. So I'm available to you under this contract. That's part of the agreement. In terms of reimbursement, what that looks like, we are agreeing to pay $600 a class if you as the instructor, if you're running it solo. Likewise, then if we're using 2 instructors, there's $400 for the role of the lead instructor, and then $200 for the role of co-instructor. We typically, I will tell you, we typically shy away from using solo instructors just because we want to give everybody an opportunity to teach. There are some rare cases where that comes up, and the class is eligible to be taught with just one solo instructor. But by and large, we try to keep more, 2 folks in there for the presentation. There are opportunities to make additional, to ask for additional money. One being the role of master instructor. That's something that we do specific in this project. We have 9 master instructors right now out of the roughly 80 instructors that we have, but we're continuously accepting applications for that role. But a lot of information will come when we meet together after you receive your certification on how you become a master instructor. But for those that are, they do receive an additional $100 each time they teach. There's also an opportunity to make an additional $100 if you make a referral for a hosted class, which I mentioned earlier. You are eligible to receive $100 if that class does in fact happen. So that's kind of nice. Of note, that $100 is tied to the organization, not the number of classes. So let's say, for instance, you have an organization that has 90 individuals that need to be trained. That's going to really be 3 classes. You're only going to get the $100 one time for that referral. However, if you have other agencies, then of course you can apply to get that additional $100 each time. I just like to clarify that. And then also, again, there's that $100 for up to $100 for the class cancellation if you are in the role of lead instructor. Number 4, what you'll see is you are eligible to receive and be reimbursed for mileage, which is so important these days. And that's up to 200 miles at 52 cents a mile. So just to kind of be aware of that. We tend not to do overnight travel. There are enough instructors throughout the state of Ohio under this project that we really don't need to use overnight travel. We're able to get people pretty close to where they reside in order to teach if the folks do want an in-person training. So number 5 then, again, what we are agreeing to do under this contract is to cover the cost of the trainings for up to 30 participants. And that is valued at $5,100 or roughly right around $170 per participant, which is going to cover the marketing, outreach, coordination, support, registration fees, the materials, meaning the manuals, as well as any of the other virtual items that might come up. And then the instructor payment, we're paying the instructors out of that budget as well. Of note, so there really is you don't incur any cost from running a class. The only expense that you will see is if you're doing an in-person class. Things that are not covered would be things like printed, like if you're wanting to make copies of any handouts for participants or copies of resource lists, those types of things, and like post-it notes and markers, we don't cover the cost of that. But what's great though is all of those resources that I mentioned are available electronically and digitally so that our participants still are able to use them, and we don't have to waste a lot of money on printing on both ends. So we don't have to incur that cost as instructors either, which is very nice, which is how most of the instructors do that. So the remainder of the contract just has listed out our project team. Kathy Oberlin is the youth coordinator. Rich Palmer is one of the adult coordinators. He's going to be moving on to a different role here shortly. And Janet Gora will be, our program director will be covering for him for the time being. Bailey Fulweiler is one of the other adult coordinators. Chuck Wickenhofer works with AmeriCorps, and he is actually helping us to create the classes and do a lot of the background work for creating the classes and enrolling participants, etc., which you'll learn all about. And you'll be so grateful to have him on the team when you learn all about the things that he's doing for us as instructors to help support us. And Michelle is another coordinator that's not listed on here. She's on our project as well. And then Lucas Zalesko is who you send those invoices to. He's the administrative support coordinator. He's actually who you're going to send your invoice for the training to. As you follow through the flow sheet and the workflow that your coordinator has shared with you on what are the next steps to become a instructor, Lucas is who you send that invoice from National Council to. And then there's Bridget, that's myself, the instructor support specialist, and then Janet Gora, who is the project director, program director. So in terms of who signs the MOA or the contract, a couple of different things to consider. If it is you as the individual that wants to get paid, basically it's who wants to get paid. If it's you, just click on I'm the individual and receive payment for this contract, and then you're going to fill out your information. Pretty straightforward where you want the checks mailed to. You may, however, work for an organization that is saying, okay, we want you to deliver mental health first aid to our staff on work hours. So you're already receiving a paycheck from us during this time. And we want you to deliver this as part of your job duty or part of your job descriptions. This is a conversation you need to have with your employer to figure out, are they going to be the ones getting paid, or is it going to be you personally? We have folks that do both, so we're good either way. Just it's a conversation you'll have to have with your employer if you're intending to do this during your normal work time. And if you are in fact an organization, again, they'll just put the information down, and maybe there's a couple instructors at your organization, which again we have that as well. You'll put everybody's name on here and their email as an individual under that organization. It just helps us keep track of where everybody's associated with and related to. And then of course we'll put that address to mail the check. And then who is the authorized signer for that organization. So that's essentially the contract that we have that we're asking for you to fill out. In addition to submitting the contract, of course, we would need a W-9 for either the individual or for the organization, whichever one you choose to submit. We do have some folks that work for an organization, so they have that MOA, and then they also have an additional one because maybe they want to do some trainings on their own on the weekends and the evenings, etc. Because you're independently contracted and this is your certification, you can do that. So that's another option. We just need a contract and a W-9 for each contractor. For each scenario that you might run into. So again, thank you so much. Hopefully this was helpful in clarifying the contract for you and answering some questions. If you still have additional questions, do not hesitate to reach out. My email, again, I'll pull this back up. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Where did it go? There we go. Okay, so my email is bswihart@mhankyswoh.org. So again, feel free. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have, but take a look at the contract, click on the links, feel free to set your settings on those if you'd like to, and get those accounts set up. And welcome, and very much appreciate your willingness to join this project and to keep moving mental health first aid forward through the state of Ohio.